أصحاب السعادة، الضيوف الكرام،
Your Excellencies,
السيدات
dear
والسادة.
guests, ladies and gentlemen, the next session at Al-Waha Theatre is about to begin. Please take your seats and put
إلى
your
الوضع الصامت.
smartphones in
وشكرا.
silent mode. Thank you.
Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we invite you to take your seats in the Al-Waha Theatre. The next session is starting shortly. Please ensure that your mobile devices are switched to silent. Thank you.
نرجو أن نحظى باهتمامكم. يتم عرض
May we
قنوات
have your attention, please?
هنا على الشاشة.
Channels for simultaneous
بحاجة إلى
interpretation are displayed here on the screen. If you need a headset for interpretation, please obtain one from the tables in the back of the room.
Your attention. The simultaneous translation channels are displayed here on the screen. If you require a translation headset, please collect one from the tables located at the back of the room. Thank you.
أصحاب السعادة، الضيوف الكرام،
Your
السيدات
Excellencies,
والسادة.
dear guests, ladies and gentlemen, we invite you to take your seats, please. The next session is about to begin. Please switch your mobile devices to silent mode. Thank you.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, the next session in the Al-Waha Theatre is about to begin. Please take your seats and ensure that your mobile devices are switched to silent.
نرجو أن نحظى باهتمامكم. يتم عرض قنوات.
May we have your attention, please? The interpretation channels are displayed on the screen. If you need a headset for interpretation, please obtain one from the tables in the back of this room.
May we have your attention? The simultaneous translation channels are displayed here on the screen. If you require a translation headset, please collect one from the tables located at the back of the room. Thank you.
أصحاب السعادة، الضيوف الكرام، السيدات والسادة، ندعوكم للجلوس في مقاعدكم. الجلسة التالية على وشك البدء. يرجى تحويل أجهزتكم المحمولة إلى الوضع الصامت. وشكرا.
Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, the next session in the Al-Waha Theatre is about to begin. Please take your seats and ensure that your mobile devices are switched to silent.
أصحاب السعادة، الضيوف الكرام، السيدات والسادة، ندعوكم
Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats.
الجلسة التالية
The
على
session
وشك
is about to begin.
يرجى تحويل
Please
أجهزتكم
switch your
المحمولة
mobile devices to silent mode. Thank you.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, the next session in the Al-Waha Theatre is about to begin. Please take your seats and ensure that your mobile devices are switched to silent.
Our vision, a bold leap from climate goals to tangible action. But our ambitions face formidable challenge. Can we break through the barriers of old systems and resistance? Can we seize the momentum? How do we ensure funding gets to where it is most needed? Our focus must be on people, lives, and livelihoods. But how can we ensure every voice is heard? Today marks a critical juncture. We must confront these challenges, close the gaps to 2030, and catalyze real transformative change. Here we seek to fast-track the energy transition, not just talk about it. Together we strive to fix climate finance, ensuring impactful allocation of every dollar. Today we put people and nature at the heart of our decisions. Here we must unite, act, deliver. Welcome to the World Climate Action Summit at COP28 UAE.
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I say that because many people are tuning in from all over the world to this remarkable moment at the beginning of 2023 World Climate Action Summit, United Arab Emirates. Your Highnesses, Excellencies, esteemed guests, ladies and gentlemen. My name is David Nabarro, and I have the honor to be the moderator of today's session, which is making sure that agriculture and food systems are fit for people and the planet, with a particular focus on generations to come. The issue of agriculture and food is coming into the center of action on climate and nature. And it's a powerful convergence that is happening everywhere, and it's widespread. Concerted efforts by many in recent years, with an intense process in the last 12 months, led by the United Arab Emirates and building on COP27 joint program on implementation of climate action and agriculture and food security that was led by Egypt last year. Right at the center of this work are farmers. Farmers are the custodians of the land and the water. They're sentinels for change in weather and nature. And we're going to start by hearing from a farmer representative. We're fortunate to be joined by a farmer from Uganda who is also the president of the East African farmers' organizations to learn why it matters so much to her and her members that we put food systems and agriculture at the front of this COP. So please welcome Elizabeth Simadala onto the stage, the president of the East African Farmers Federation. Elizabeth.
Distinguished Excellencies, I stand on the existing protocols. Growing up as a smallholder farmer in Bushenyi district in southwestern Uganda, I never dreamt of a time and a moment like this, where I would be the first on stage to speak to the world on the actions that we can do together to address the climate crisis and sustainable food systems transformation. Thank you to the UAE COP28 presidency for making Dubai a food moment in the history of COP. Thank you once again for firing the first bullet to give a special recognition of smallholder farmers who are producing over 80% of the global food value that we eat, amidst the challenges of climate change, because we face the biggest brunt. But we've continued to invest in solutions that are transforming our global food systems. And you know how much climate financing we are able to access? 0.3%. It's a shame. Let me start by recognizing everybody's contribution who has made it possible for agriculture to be on the discussion table of climate change, starting from the Paris Agreement, the Coronovia Joint Work on Agriculture different sessions, the Sharm el-Sheikh outcome on action on agriculture and food systems, the United Nations Food Systems Summit, the Africa Climate Summit recommendations, and the Emirates Declaration on Sustainable Agriculture, Resilient Food Systems, and Climate Action, where we have been part of the reference group and we've contributed to the discussions. I'm not here to talk to you about the devastating impacts of climate change and how they are intertwined to the geopolitical realignment, to the wars, to the conflicts, to the debt burden, and to the current status of our inflation, which most African countries are grappling with. You understand this better. The situation is getting dire. I'm here to speak to you about 3 things that we need to do. Number 1, I'm here to speak to you to make sure that agriculture remains on track. The negotiations on agriculture should remain on track. We need to make sure that adaptation remains prominent in the outcome of COP28. We need to make sure that agriculture targets are included in the global goal for adaptation. Number 2, I'm here to speak to you to make sure that there is a fund that is created for smallholder farmers to address the farmers' plight. 100 billion is projected as an import bill in the next 2 years for Africa if no remedy is taken. And who can reverse this? It's the smallholder farmers by supporting us to scale our interventions, our skills, our capacities, our innovations, and our interventions. And finally, commitments have to be kept. I'm happy that we are receiving new announcements and commitments, but can we keep the old and the current commitments? Ladies and gentlemen, we've had enough of talking. We need to move to action. Let's build public-private producer partnerships. Let's invite farmers as equal partners on the table. And not just on the table, but on the dinner table where the cake is being served. We're not looking for handouts. We need a leg up. I thank you.
So that is the most remarkable testimonial from Elizabeth Simandala. Let us take account of everything that she has invited us to do, and now consider the work of one person who's been at the figurehead of UAE's initiative to connect climate, nature, and food. The person I'm talking about has been its stimulus, its tireless ambassador, and she's worked really hard on this agenda for more than a year, since actually I first encountered her when she was convening food systems dialogues here in UAE. Please give the warmest welcome you can for Her Excellency Miriam Al-Meri, UAE Minister of Climate Change and the Environment.
Thank you so much, David. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, what an honor it is to welcome you all to the United Arab Emirates and to the food segment of the World Climate Action Summit. I'm just enjoying this moment because I did promise many of you over the last few years that we would bring agriculture and food system to center stage at COP28, and here we are. I want to thank you, all of you, for your support and your endless efforts. As we just heard from David and from Elizabeth, food systems are at the nexus of nutrition, improving livelihoods, and climate change. And that's what makes this sector so complex, yet also full of opportunities. We in the UAE have been taught by our leaders to always look at challenges as opportunities. Yes, we are a desert environment, and yes, we have very little natural fresh water, but that didn't stop us in our pursuit to become one of the leading countries in the Global Food Security Index. As you just saw in the opening ceremony, our legacy comes from our founding father, the late Sheikh Zayed, who was a passionate environmentalist and who always put sustainability at the core of his actions. He was very interested in agriculture and understood very early that agriculture was a means to civilization. In the late 60s, he would often sit with agriculture experts that came to visit him from around the world, and he would ask them for advice on how to make the UAE greener and how to grow certain foods. Yet, they never gave him much encouraging words. But that didn't stop him. And what you see today here in the UAE are the fruits of his labor. Today, we have become a world-leading trade hub for food. Our ag-tech companies have grown tenfold over the last 4 years as we have embraced and adopted innovations in closed environment agriculture. I tell you this, ladies and gentlemen, because we in the UAE have gone through an incredible transformation, and it all comes down to political will and national champions. And so with this in mind, my team and I have been working alongside all of you these past months to put together a leaders' declaration. This leaders' declaration on agriculture and food systems is there to help galvanize the political will needed from countries across the globe to transform our food systems in the face of climate change. And today, we celebrate a milestone moment in history for food systems and agriculture at a COP. I am pleased to announce, drum rolling, that the COP28 UAE Declaration on Sustainable Agriculture, Resilient Food Systems and Climate Action has so far received 134 endorsements. I know it says 120 on there. This was what we had to give in about 2 days ago, but we reached 134 endorsements from heads of state and government. This truly is a historic moment for food systems and will really raise the profile of agriculture and climate in all these respective countries. With these countries, by the way, we cover more than 5.7 billion people and 70% of all food we eat. The signatories of the declaration are home to nearly 500 million farmers and represent 75% of all emissions from global food systems. A big thank you to all of you who have endorsed the declaration and contributed to this watershed moment for food and climate agenda. And we look forward for many more joining in the next few days. Now, this is a first step, and sometimes this first step is the hardest step, but over the coming few days, we will be holding several workshops on how to ensure we can effectively implement the declaration. Because as you know, this is all about action. Now, we all know the two ingredients for implementation as set out in the declaration. It's funding and innovations. Now, before I talk about that, I don't know if any of you have noticed about the food that's being served here at COP28. So we have taken the initiative to ensure that the food menus that are being served are 1.5 degrees Celsius aligned. We have trained our chefs, suppliers, catering companies to ensure that the climate-conscious food is being served here across Expo as part of the wider goal of hosting a carbon-neutral conference, because we, the UAE, believe it's so important to walk the talk. Now, thank you. Going back to funding and innovation, it gives me great pleasure to announce a significant funding partnership with a very dear partner to the UAE. The partnership will focus on agriculture research and development and scaling up innovations, which is so desperately needed to adapt food systems to the growing threats of climate change. Please join me in welcoming our dear friend, Bill Gates, to the stage. Thank you so much, Bill, for joining me. We've been talking about this for several months now, this partnership, and I'm really excited to announce this partnership, and if I may, Bill. So, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, together with the United Arab Emirates, will fund a total sum of $200 million of new investments. So $200 million of new investments into food and ag research and scaling up innovations. With the majority of the investments going into the CGIAR systems, the UAE is delighted to become now a core partner of the CGIAR System Council and support its work. Bill, we thank you for this partnership. We're really excited. And I wonder if you can tell the audience a little bit about how important this partnership is and what it means to you.
Well, I'm thrilled that we're adding to the broad partnership we've had in many areas of health. We'll have more news about those in the days to come. But here in agriculture, which is so important, we really owe it to the poorer farmers to give them better tools. My awareness of climate change really came when I was visiting Africa and seeing that as the crops failed there more and more because of the temperature increase, that was leading to malnutrition. And of course, when malnutrition goes up, that increases deaths. It means that kids are not able to develop either physically or mentally. And so I was kind of shocked. And so I, as a kid who grew up in the city, I had to learn a lot about farming. And, the story of the CG system, I think, is one that people aren't well aware of. In the 1960s and 70s, when Asia, with its population growth, looked like it faced substantial starvation, it was actually the innovation in the CG system that was able to actually increase calories per person during even that high population growth time. And so CG overall has saved over 1 billion lives through its work. That's right up there with the very best health interventions like vaccines. And so we really need to double down on the CG system. There's reasons to believe that by using the latest techniques of being able to sequence genes, using AI, using satellite data, that for all the crops, not just the main cereal crops, we can make them far more productive and far more climate resilient. If we're able to raise for CG over the next 3 years, the 4 billion, which ideally they would get, they'll be able to improve the lives of over 500 million farmers. And so, this is a very fundamental, top of the list thing to address climate adaptation. Of course, we don't just want these improvements to be in the lab, we want them to scale up. And so share with us some of the additional things we'll do to make sure these advances get out to the farmers.
Well, Bill, this is so exciting. The mic's on. Well, Bill, this is so exciting because absolutely we need to scale up innovations. And that's why part of the funding will also be going into Aim for Scale. And what we're going to be doing is looking at proven, impactful innovations, some of which will be taken from the Aim for Climate initiative that we started with the United States at COP28, where we now have over 500 partners. So selecting, identifying some of these innovations and scaling them up to bring them to where they're needed. And of course, there's also the support that we'll be looking at for the low and middle income countries with technical assistance. So including through a technical cooperation collaborative, which will help identify food transition pathways. So our partnership, Bill, is all about moving food systems innovation from the margins to the top priorities of COP. And I'm sure you will agree, Bill, that by working collaboratively, we can move mountains on food systems transformation.
Yeah, it's thrilling that we can improve crop productivity very, very substantially. We're impatient to see this done. Prioritizing the highest impact interventions like we do in health will be very important. But I think we'll look back on today as a real milestone towards accelerating this adaptation innovation.
Absolutely. Well, we're so excited. And friends, I just want to end by saying this, and I'm sure, Bill, you're feeling the same way. The world is not in a good place right now, but I think we have such a powerful thing in our hands today. Let's make COP28 a beacon of hope, a beacon of inspiration, and a lighthouse for all the young people that are watching us now, watching our commitments and our actions. And I'm so excited to moving this forward with you, Bill, and with everyone here in the room. Let's take food systems transformation to the next level. And thank you again for all your support here. Thank you, Bill. Thank you.
For your inspiring account of transformation focused on benefits for people and planet. Thank you for showing us that leadership really matters. And thank you for reminding us that implementation will require collaboration and partnership with a massive sprint, particularly in the coming 2 years. Thank you, Mr. Gates, for your long-term remarkable commitment and for stepping up with such a generous response. And now we're going to hear very quickly from 5 more key partners who describe the ways in which their members and movements are supporting the transformation of agriculture and food systems. Please welcome on the stage, with as much noise as you can, Her Excellency Razan Al Mubarak, Dr. Chu Dong-yu, Antoine de Saint-Affrique, Robert Wack, and Dr. Ismahan El-Awafi. Please come up. So welcome. Let's go to the far end first. Yeah. So the organisers invited us to talk about things, but do you know what happens in these kinds of events is that we end up very constrained for time. So we're going to try a lightning panel. And the way it works is as follows, that I will invite each panelist to react to different aspects of the Emirates Declaration. And although they won't speak much, what they say is going to be hugely important. And you know, Excellency Razan Al Mubarak, she's some special person. She's COP28 champion. She's president of the International Union for the Conservation of Nature, and she's everywhere in this COP. Razan, you are in direct contact with so many people in civil society. You're seeing this energy emerge on food systems. How do you, very quickly please, how do you react to it all? That should work.
So as you've all heard, there is no doubt that we need to transform this vicious cycle with food systems negatively impacting climate change and habitat loss. We must turn this on its head, and I believe this is what the Emirates Declaration is trying to do. But to do so, we need all hands on deck. Yeah. We need non-state actors to work with governments. So we need governments and non-state actors. And that is why I have this great privilege to launch, alongside the Emirates Declaration, the call to action by non-state actors, by fishermen, by farmers, by civil society, by youth organizations, and businesses to work together to ensure that by COP29, and hopefully before that, we will have a global goal on food system transformation. But of course, we know that this cannot be done without an enabling framework. So we need to work together to unlock societal challenges, to ensure that we unlock market mechanisms, financial flows, to ensure that we get to the goals that we need to achieve. Thank you.
And thank you very much indeed, Razan. And just again, I want to stress, 136 governments at the head of state and government level endorsed the declaration, but that's not all. Civil society comes in with the call to action, leadership of Her Excellency and many others. Thank you so much.
Just to add that we have more than 139 non-party stakeholders signing up, and the momentum is growing. So I call to all of those that are working in the food transformation sector to join us. Thank you.
And thank you. Now, it's not just civil society, not just the non-state actors. The whole multilateral system is behind this incredible transformation of food systems. Chu Dong-yu, as Director General of the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization, how do you react to the declaration and what goes with it?
Thank you, David. First of all, I would salute the organizer, put the agri-food system on the stage now. And I really appreciate all your efforts. It's not easy, but you are deserved for a non-easy job. Thank you. Food security and climate change are interlinked. Global agri-food systems are the climate solution. We have to produce more with less, because we expect about 10 billion population on this planet sooner or later. Agri-food systems must be transformed to be more efficient, more inclusive, more resilient, and more sustainable to effectively contribute to food availability, food accessibility, and food affordability. And to achieve all the SDGs, we have the solution to help the countries build resilience, adaptation, and mitigation, and achieve the food security for all. But we need enabling policies first to close the investment gap and to ensure that climate finance is increased and reach those who need it most, especially to the family farmers and smallholder farmers. As I am also from the smallholder farmers in China, less than 1 hectare, rice grower, it's not easy, yeah, through my childhood. But now we have enough food, thanks to the innovation. So we also need to ensure the loss and damage fund that was historically set in the motion yesterday reach the agricultural community. As Farmers Organization pointed out, only 2.2% or 0.2% of the investment on that. So it's too little. Implementation of Emirates Declaration and climate action guided by EFA roadmap for achieving SDG 2 while maintaining 1.5 degrees Celsius are key instruments for the achieving SDG target and for better production, better nutrition, a better environment, and a better life, leaving no one behind. We welcome, FAO welcome all the members' initiatives from the United States, from Africa, from Asia, from Europe, all over the world work together to make this happening, to let us walk the talk. Action now on the part of each of us. Make it tangible and deliverable, and be action tank, not sink tanker. Thank you.
Thank you for your leadership, Chu Dong-yu. Speaking there really for the whole multilateral system, and we've asked Antoine de Saint-Affrique, who is the CEO of the Danone Group, but also the chair of a large biodiversity consortium, to talk about how the private sector is coming in behind the declaration and all that it means. Antoine, please.
Well, David, the private sector can come in fundamentally 2 ways, or principally 2 ways. I mean, the first one is do at scale what we are good at, which is develop, prove, and scale solution. And one such solution is regenerative agriculture. We know it works. We've proven it as a company. So name of the game is scaling, and scaling as fast as we can. And that's why landmark initiatives like the COP28 Action Agenda on Regenerative Landscape, bringing together companies under the leadership of COP28 with the UN, with WBCSD, with 25 organizations, enables to give a totally different scale. We move from thousands farmers to a million farmers, and the same applies to First Movers Coalition for Food or Dairy Methane Action Alliance. The second thing is driving harder private-public partnership. And Elizabeth said it, with farmers at the center. I mean, the food systems are fundamental for food security, obviously. They are fundamental for social stability, for peace, and they are emitting about 1/3 of the green gas emission. They only receive 4% of the total transformation funding. So mobilizing that funding to the service of the farmer at scale so that we can build security, so that we can build resilience, and so that we can drive the transformation is absolutely fundamental.
Brilliant. Thank you very much indeed. That's Antoine talking on behalf of a whole community of CEOs who've come together on regenerative landscapes. And behind all this is a remarkable coalescence of philanthropy supporting food systems transformation. Roberto Wack, who's the chair of the board of the Apaio Institute in Brazil, is going to tell us a bit about this philanthropy initiative. Roberto.
Well, it's a real honor to participate in this extremely important panel representing the philanthropic agenda and the philanthropic role on this agenda. As a Brazilian Global South organization, the message I would like to express is supported by 4 key words and concepts. The first one is the catalytic role of the philanthropic organizations. The second is the role of the philanthropy on reducing fragmentation of projects and different initiatives. The third one is a bold advocacy on public policies, and the fourth, very important, is the freedom to act. The catalytic role, basically the philanthropic organizations, they have a crucial role on connecting different players, the private sector, the government, the academy, civil society in the same space, especially land use, and that's very important in the Brazilian context, for instance. The second point is defragmentation of initiatives and projects, fostering networks. The role of networks and multi-stakeholders initiatives and movements are absolutely crucial in this game. Climate change agenda is absolutely connected to land use, education, health, food security, and everything related to all this social justice and environmental development. The third point is advocacy, shaping and a very strong participation on development of public policies and implementation. The fourth and the last one, the freedom to act, flexibility and fast reaction, facing the urgency of climate and especially nature, including, of course, food system. The emergencies there, so we need to face and embrace the fact that we are dealing with wicked problems, we're dealing with bounded rationality. So rationality is absolutely crucial and important, but emotions and culture is as important as the bounded rationality we live with. So that is more or less the message of...
Thank you very much indeed, Roberto. You heard it from him. There are wicked problems in food systems, and they're complex, and we need to approach them in ways that take account of emotion as well as rationality. And who better to bring us together on this than the whole CGIAR system, which Minister Almeri and Mr. Gates referred to just now. And next to me on my left is the newly appointed Managing Director of the CGIAR network. Ismahan, I know you've got a massive job now, but how do you believe that science will contribute to this massive effort that we've embarked on today?
Thank you, David. And I think really science should underpin and should be the basis of the transformation of agri-food system. Thanks to the United Arab Emirates for bringing agri-food system transformation center and front in the COP28. So we all know that climate crisis and food security are very closely linked. Right now, we have more than 780 million people that are affected by hunger, a number that will grow as the planet warms. As Bill Gates said this morning, this means that agriculture must be centered as in the climate solutions. And I put S there, it's many, many solutions. I want to take you back 400 years ago, when humanity has faced its greatest challenges. Always, science and innovation had provided the solutions. So science, from discovery to developmental science, holds the key to tackling climate change and transforming our agri-food systems. Right now, the world is under-investing in innovation, and I'm very happy that Antoine told us the number only 4% go into this huge sector. CGR, the world's largest publicly funded agricultural research group, is launching an investment case. Thank you so much to the UAE and Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation for your generosity. And I'm really thrilled to see here many of the donors. We are very happy that many of our donors are committing about $900 million to give us the tools to find the solution the world needs. So I want to end by saying that inaction, it's not an option. With science, we can build a world that supports food security, that supports climate security, and that supports nutrition security for all, leaving no one behind. Thank you, David.
Thank you very much indeed. So you can see that the partners are coming together. They're clustering around this wonderful declaration. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. And now what we're going to do is to hear a little bit, please, if you'd like to come out this way, that'd be great. We're going to have a presentation now on what it means to be inside the Emirates Declaration. It's a video. We hope you enjoy it. It's super short. Let's go.
Today, we recognize the power of the people in our agriculture and food systems as a force for collective positive change. Today, we affirm that agriculture and food systems must transform to enable food security and nutrition for all, and to achieve goals for climate and nature. We commit to work with farmers and all food systems actors to combat the impacts of climate change. We recommit ourselves to ensuring food security and nutrition for all, leaving no one behind. We place water and nature at the heart of our food and climate agendas. Today, we accelerate the transformation of our agriculture and food systems. Our actions are local, but our impact must be global. Today, we unite. Together, we lead the way towards a sustainable, resilient, and prosperous future for all.
And ladies and gentlemen, that's what it feels like for everybody who's signed up. We are in, and it's governments that are in, it's everybody else that's in. But what better than to hear from some of the heads of state and government that have endorsed the declaration. We'd like to invite 4 to come up on the stage now. Can I just say them by name, and there will be a little bit of movement as people come up, and you'll see why in a minute. I'm going to invite Prime Minister Flame Naomi Mataafa of Samoa to come up, and I'm really very grateful to you, Madam, for coming with us today when you're really quite indisposed, and so you've kindly agreed to come up this side on the slope and perhaps to come into this chair here. Then I'd like to invite Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni also to come up, and if you'd like to be also seated perhaps in the second chair on the left from me. Then I'd like to invite President Joko Widodo, who I saw just here, if you'd like to come up as well, sir, in the armchair that's second to the right. And then I'd like to invite Secretary Antony Blinken of the United States of America to come up as well. Okay, so Meloni. President, hello, thank you for coming. Secretary, thank you for coming. Amazing that you come here after what you've been doing. So each leader has been invited to make a short statement about what this Emirates Declaration and the work to link together climate and agriculture and food means for them. And we've suggested that President Widodo, you might like to start, and perhaps from the lectern on the left. President Widodo will speak in Bahasa, and that's why we asked you to make sure you got your translators if you're not fluent in Bahasa. You have the floor, sir. You've got headphones.
I use English.
Well, I use English.
Excellencies,
speaking English.
The demand of agriculture and plantation products will definitely increase very sharply, since in addition to producing food, they also produce biofuel in the form of biodiesel, bioethanol, etc. There is no one-size-fits-all solution to realize sustainable food security because every country has different strengths. For example, Indonesia, that has advantage in lands that are plentiful and fertile. Human resources that are abundant. 30% of Indonesia's productive age citizens live from the agriculture sector, and adequate supporting ecosystem, infrastructure connectivity has been massively constructed, including dams, irrigation, roads, and ports. This potential can be developed for the prosperity of small-scale agriculture, as well as for large-scale food estates that, if supported by funding and transfer of high technology, can potentially become large food estates that supply global demand. Therefore, global collaboration must be strengthened. Investment for agriculture and farming is very much needed, especially because agriculture and farm products can also produce energy that is more environmentally friendly. Indonesia strongly supports initiative of the UAE presidency in promoting international collaboration centered on sustainable agriculture, supply chains resilience, and climate action. And Indonesia hopes that this initiative can produce concrete results to create a more prosperous world. Thank you.
Thank you. In English. Thank you for speaking in English. Yeah. Now, that was just wonderful. And thank you, sir, for speaking not requiring everybody to be hunting for their headphones. Thank you very much indeed. And now, Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni is going to make some remarks also from the lectern. Thank you.
Well, dear colleagues, dear guests, let me first of all thank the Presidency for the invitation to this important event and for its leadership's firm engagement, including with the declaration we're adopting today, to an issue on which Italy has a long-standing commitment. As the United Nations, recognized by choosing to host the headquarters of the UN Food Systems Agencies in Rome, and as demonstrated by the recent UN Food Systems Summit that was held in July in Rome. And it couldn't be otherwise, for Italy's food system is among the most advanced and renowned across the world. I'm thinking, for example, about the principles of the Mediterranean diet, that do not only belong to Italy and the Mediterranean, they belong to all the world. We are aware of how precious our know-how can be for others as well. So that food security for all is also one of the strategic priorities of our foreign policy. This is why a very substantial share of our Mattei Plan for Africa, which is a project based on collaboration on an equal footing with the African continent, is directed to the agricultural sector. But our aim is not to do charity. For my idea is that Africa doesn't need charity. It needs something different, which is the possibility to compete on a level playing field. So we need to help the continent prosper on its own resources, and Africa holds, among other things, 65% of the planet's arable land, which with adequate technology and adequate training can ensure self-sufficient food production and economic growth. And I will say more, for we are not only firmly engaged on food security, we want to be engaged in food safety. The challenge we have is not only to ensure food for all, it is to ensure healthy food for all. And that means we don't want to consider food production as, food for survival. We want to consider it as a means for live healthy lives. And the role of research is essential in this context. But I want to state it clearly, not to produce food in laboratories, and perhaps move towards a world in which the rich are able to eat natural food, while synthetic food is directed to the poor, with impacts on health that we cannot predict. This is not the world I want to see. The world I want to see, dear Elizabeth, is a world in which the bond that has united land and humankind, work and nutrition across millennia is preserved. And research is able to help optimize that bond, ensuring disease-resistant crops resilient to climate change, but also devising ever more modern and innovative agriculture techniques able to improve both quality and quantity of production and reduce negative externalities such as excessive water consumption. That is what we are engaged in. Adequate resources must be dedicated, obviously, to the climate food system nexus, and this is among the aims of the €4 billion Italian Climate Fund, of which 70% will be directed towards the African countries. And we are also contributing to the Loss and Damage Fund with €100 million to help to achieve the goals of this COP28. So finally, also these challenges will also be at the heart of the Italian G7 presidency of the next year, where we intend to foster innovative instruments building on the achievements of COP28, starting with the important declaration we signed today. Thank you.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, after that very beautiful and precise statement we go from Prime Minister of Italy, we go to Prime Minister of Samoa. Prime Minister Mata'afa, you have the floor now, ma'am.
Thank you, David. Fellow leaders, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. We're all aware of recent IPCC assessments that have identified action on food and agricultural systems that are key to an effective global climate change response. And if I may say so, most of the SIDS community have been working diligently to advocate for a collective response to the transformation of food systems in the face of climate change. In the last few years, my country, Samoa, and the SIDS community, through the SIDS Solution Framework, have paid focused attention on digitalization and innovation, an important way forward for SIDS on the road to 2030 to address the need to achieve sustainable development in the face of significant long-term and rapid onset changes that they increasingly face. The digital technologies are transforming agri-food systems everywhere, but it is of great importance to remote areas such as SIDS. The expansion of mobile technologies, remote sensing services, and distributed computing are already improving smallholders' access to information, inputs and markets, increasing production and productivity, streamlining supply chains, and reducing operational costs. Digital innovation holds the potential to unlock employment opportunities, bridge the rural divide, and empower youth and women to access information, technology, and markets. Sharing these rapidly evolving digital innovations will accelerate progress towards achieving the SDGs in SIDS. The SIDS Solution Platform will help to incubate, promote, scale up, and replicate locally grown ideas to accelerate the achievement of agriculture, food, nutrition, environment, and health. In this regard, Mr. Moderator, I am pleased to confirm that my country, Samoa, as many of the SIDS community, endorses the Emirates Declaration on Sustainable Agriculture, Resilient Food Systems, and Climate Action. We firmly believe that the Declaration will raise the bar for global ambition and action on food systems transformation.
Madam Prime Minister, thank you. You see, real leadership, and we've seen the work of the SIDS, particularly through the Food Systems Summit, has been quite special. Thank you again. And to Secretary Blinken, thank you for sparing the time to be here. You have your moment now, sir.
Thank you, David. Thank you very, very much. Madam Minister, thank you for your leadership. Thank you for hosting us here today. The Emirates Declaration on Sustainable Agriculture, Resilient Food Systems, and Climate Action represents a landmark commitment by now over 130 countries to better align efforts on agriculture and food systems with climate action. And today, I'm very pleased to announce that the United States is joining the declaration and will serve as a founding member of the Technical Cooperation Collaborative to help implement its vision. Around the world, 700 million people are chronically undernourished. About half of these people face acute food insecurity, meaning, quite simply, they don't know where their next meal is coming from, or whether it will come at all. This crisis is made worse by our warming climate and by extreme weather events. Just in this past year, we've experienced staggering heat waves in North America, in Europe, in Asia, raging wildfires across southern Europe and North Africa, catastrophic floods in South Asia. Behind these statistics on food security, real people. The toddler whose physical and mental development is stunted by chronic malnutrition, denied her right to learn and grow. The mother, unable to provide her baby essential nutrients. The parents, unable to put food on the table. As President Biden has said, if parents can't feed their children, nothing else matters. And here is the problem. This challenge is only going to get worse. A growing population means the global demand for food is likely to increase by an estimated 50% by the year 2050. An escalating climate crisis means that crop yields could drop by as much as 30% over that same period. So do the math. We'll be feeding more and more people on a planet where growing food will become harder and harder. Since January 2021, the United States has provided $17.5 billion to tackle global hunger. We provide more than 50% of the World Food Programme's budget. We're devoting $1 billion annually through Feed the Future, our government's global food security initiative, to strengthen food systems, social safety nets, nutrition in more than 40 countries. We're also working with partners to rethink what, where, and how we produce food in the context of a changing planet. Our goal is for farmers, for ranchers, to be able to sustainably achieve bigger yields of more nutritious crops at lower costs, using less land, producing fewer emissions. That's the vision. And it's also the mission of the Vision for Adopted Crops and Soils, or VACS, which we launched with the African Union and the UN Food and Agriculture Organization just a few months ago in February. VACS is focused on the two fundamental elements of food production, and it really does come down to this: soil and seeds. Like Bill Gates, in this job, I've had to learn more about food than I ever thought I would. And I've been gratified to work with some of the leading experts in the world, including Dr. Carrie Fowler, who's taught me a lot about it. And the basics are really what counts: soil and seeds. The program, which is part of the broader Feed the Future initiative, works in two primary ways. First, investing below ground, mapping, conserving, building healthy soils that produce healthy food. And second, by investing above ground. VACS helps identify underinvested but nutrient-rich and climate-resilient crops, breeding better varieties of them, and then harvesting them and delivering them to the world. To pick up on what Prime Minister Maloney said, this is food not just to survive, but to thrive. And it will give countries sustainable, productive capacity. Already, we built a coalition and started a movement. The Netherlands, Japan, the United Kingdom, Norway, and others, leading corporations like Cargill and ADM, have all signed up. And we encourage everyone here to join us. We're also celebrating our inaugural VACS champions: Bayer, Catholic Relief Services, ADM, Concern Worldwide, and the One Acre Fund. And today, the United States is pledging an additional $50 million on top of the $100 million that we announced in July. At the same time, thank you. At the same time, we're scaling climate-smart agriculture through the President's Partnership for Global Infrastructure and Investment. We're also advancing food systems innovation through the expansion of initiatives like the Agriculture Innovation Missions for Climate with the UAE, which is marshaling billions in private and public investments. Even as the global community confronts other challenges demanding our attention, we have to maintain our focus on ending climate-driven hunger. This meeting will raise our ambitions to do exactly that. We look forward to working with each and every one of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Secretary Blinken, thank you so much, and thank you to all panelists. Now what we'd like to do is to invite the heads of state and government from countries that have been involved in the declaration, plus our four panelists here, plus the other panelists who are involved in today's meeting, just to come up on the stage and just briefly to have photographs taken. And then we finish. And unfortunately, we've overrun, so we won't have time to let this go on for a long time. Minister, if you'd like to come up, that'd be great. Thank you. to